it's streaming on YouTube, but not on the scheduled streaming. Hey, everybody in chat in the YouTube, everybody click this link.
We're very professional
You're
podcasters.
very professional. Very professional.
Podcasters.
I don't know how any of this is working. This is insanity. I think I'm going live right now. Yeah, actually, we're live right now. Ooh.
Oh, good. No, I feel.
Hey, guess what, everybody? So because who are those fuckers? Twitter, right? Elon Musk. They made a bunch of changes to their software, and like
Am
now
I
I
on?
can't. You're
Yeah.
on. I'm not sure.
Is
It
this
looks
thing
like we're
working?
streaming. Hey, I think we're streaming on
Is this thing-
Radicalized Pod.
Is this thing working?
Hey, we're
No.
streaming on Radicalized Pod.
How did that happen?
Amazing.
I don't even know how it works. That's crazy.
No.
Anyway, hi audience.
Wait. Let's wait.
No. Seriously, look at your text. I put it in the text.
Let's count us in. We're gonna edit this in post. 3,
All right. Okay.
2. Hey, welcome everybody to Radpod and Chill, where we always embrace the technological suck, but we actually have award-winning content. LOL. You guys carry me while I do a little retweeting here. Jim, how's your day going?
I've been in a mood. I've been in a mood.
Jim, you're never in a mood. You're never in a mood. What are you talking about?
I'm just tired. I'm tired of the fucking children.
Yeah.
The children that portray themselves as leaders that are just executing this fucking psyop on our candidate. It's just Look, if somebody has a better idea as a candidate, and most importantly, they can get Joe Biden to give up and shut the fuck up. Shut your fucking mouths. Nobody wants to hear you crying. No, everybody understands how fucking old he is and understands how so super grateful you are to him. Well, if you were grateful to him, give him some fucking respect. Give him the time to do whatever he's going to do. Because in the meantime, there's a bunch of motivated people. There's a bunch of motivated Democrats, a bunch of very, very scared people, and for good fucking reason. And in the meantime, our own party is sitting here shooting each other in the fucking face while, the Fourth Reich goes and does its shit. And I'm just tired. I'm tired of 6 weeks of this butt is debate fucking thing. Again, if people have a plan, if there's a strategy and a set of tactics and a goal that we can all agree on, which is preventing the Fourth Reich, I'm all for it. Until then, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
All it is feelings. It's feelings. It's my feelings. I'm so nervous.
Yeah.
Who cares? No one cares. All it does is make us feel sick and angry and at the wrong people. So stop.
So very early on.
I was planning on waiting for my rant.
No. Rant away. I promised ranting. We will be ranting. We promised ranting. We promised jetpacks. We will have jetpacks. We promised ranting. So early on in my resistance career as an unpaid Twitter activist, I interviewed a friend of mine who was involved in civil rights activism in the 60s. And he told me something very simple. Divided we fall. United we rise, divided we fall. So here's the thing. I never thought that Joe Biden would actually be having to, battle his own party. I hadn't anticipated that. And a week ago today, he had a rally in Detroit, and one of our Betty members and Radpod friends was there, and she wrote an op-ed for Betty Dangerous that talked about this incredible energy where he was like, he's not dropping out. He was awesome. She'd been to a lot of rallies, but she said it was just like the energy was just so incredible. What happens the next day? You know, high school shooting at a rally. And obviously Trump sucks all the life out of the room, as he always does. And everybody's focusing on that incident. And they forget that there was a rally a week ago today where not only did he promise he wasn't dropping out, but everybody in Detroit was like, we got your back. And it's exactly what we needed after the few weeks that we've been through. And as I just tweeted, I think Joe Biden's such a badass that he will survive his own party. And as Jim says, if he makes a statement and decides that he's going to hand the torch over to somebody else, then we will back him up. But to have this division in the Democratic Party and have it be this open thing is so disgusting. And it actually helps Putin, who is our enemy. We are battling autocratic countries. It's not an election between Democrats and Republicans. It's literally Democratic governance continues or America is aligned with the new axis of evil. And that is our choice. So I'm a little ranty right now too, but I expected this period to be really fucked up and really challenging and really weird. What I hadn't anticipated was the weirdness coming from our own party. Last thing I'll say, a lot of it's coming from the entertainment industry, and the entertainment industry has been taking money from Putin bagmen and Saudis for a real fucking long time. So we see you and we see what you're doing. So fuck off all the way. And I don't even know where that came from, but yeah.
I know where it came from. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
We handed them a moment that it's a gift. All of this is a gift. I've heard people talk about how the Democrats, you know, questioning their candidate is a sign of a healthy party. No, it's not. And let me step back. In a fantasy world, in a different time, in a different year, when it was normal, there are politics, right? You can imagine people playing politics in a time like this. But as I keep telling people, there's nothing political about this. And the reason is because politics requires compromise. That's what it is, right? It is about two parties sitting down and agreeing on something, which means that the party on the other side of the table has to be trustable, at least leverageable.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
There is none of that.
No.
Norms, your fucking like belly button gazing, all of it is territory that you're giving up to our enemies in advance for free. So instead of everybody focusing on the bonkers, whatever the fuck that was in Milwaukee, and I'll have something to say about that because it was really interesting.
I look forward to it.
We're trying to LARP as a political event, which is really funny. But we had the opportunity to be talking about fucking Hulk Hogan. Or, better yet, J.D. Vance. Who's a sociopath, man. That guy is fucking sick in his head, and also a fully operated, created android by Peter fucking Thiel. Where's my? I can't believe you weren't ready.
I'm like, what the fuck is Hi-Fi doing right now?
Don't have the clip uploaded to the new software yet. I'm working on it right now.
Oh my God, high fidelity.
Right there. You knew it was coming.
Hey.
It all happened so quickly. So quickly.
Still.
Anyway, I cannot emphasize enough how fucking crazy Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance are.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance was an atheist at Yale, and in 2011 had the most important moment of his time in college, which was Peter Thiel came to speak to the Federal Society at fucking Yale, and little JD Vance got all brain fucked in the head and started to love Peter fucking Thiel. And gradually, over the course of the next 8 years, got completely submerged into Peter Thiel's cult. So Peter Thiel is all up in this dude's head to the point where
I'm still a piece of garbage.
he stepped on me.
I got it uploaded.
To the point where
I don't even know where I was next.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
Where was I?
Peter Thiel had that. JD Vance had that Peter Thiel moment. He was all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and
so in 2011 he has this moment, and by the way, suddenly somehow gets pushed to Oprah, to the Book of the Year Club or whatever the fuck it is. Thanks, Oprah, who's put so many shitheads into the public. Let me tell you.
Yeah, bad scene, man.
Oprah promotes this fucking guy, and gets a bunch of sort of libs and squishy white people around him, and then converts to a complete fucking lunatic. In 2019,
wow,
atheist JD Vance converted to Catholicism. Now, I'm going to tell one thing, because I really think it's important. JD Vance is a fully invested student of Rene Girard, who is Peter Thiel's sort of like cult leader. And he literally says that this guy had a cult, basically. He was a French philosopher, and he was at Stanford with young, cute little Peter Thiel. And he had a theory called mimesis, mimesis. And there are these things called mimetic, and that's important, desires. And all of this, plus the theory of scapegoats, means that human society is destined inexorably for apocalyptic violence. And those are Peter Thiel's words, that we are destined inexorably to be in an apocalyptic, violent bloodbath in order for us to cleanse the stuff and come back to whatever the fucking elites want, right? So 2004, he had a whole thing about violence and mimetics and what all that shit, right? His minion's name, who runs Thiel Capital, a guy named Jeff Kaseya. In 2015, he's a white nationalist, neo-Nazi fuck, and and friends with Chuck Johnson. And in 2015, wrote an article called "Mimetic Warfare," and mentioned in the preface, said Chuck Johnson, and it was all about using ISIS techniques and memes to brainwash people. And then in 2016, and this is important, Peter Thiel funded MAGA 3X, which was managed by Jeff Kaseya, which was operated, the general of which was Mike fucking Flynn, and the goal of which was to steal the 2016 election. All of this shit has been in the minds of these psychopaths for a long time. We're up against people who genuinely see the world as math and humans as figures to be lowered and increased as they wish. We're up against people playing God with us. And so when I see these fucking morons out here coming at Joe Biden, and I'll just say this one thing, people platforming the idea of Blue Anon, the idea that the problem right now is that there's too many conspiracy theories on the left. Are you fucking serious right now? I for reasons I'm not going to get any farther than that, but Jesus Christ. Anywho, it's time. It's time. Hold on, I'm almost done. It's time to stop fucking around. Leave it on the field. Stop playing games with dumbasses who are trying to distract you. Stop listening to all these fucking weak, scared white men, and let's get Joe Biden elected. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on, Heidi. Hold on. I need to jump in here because there's I saw some fucking billionaire postulating that the reason that Peter Thiel and the Bitcoin boys, the crypto kids, were pushing for Trump was because they wanted to get richer. It's just a Bitcoin pump, which a Bitcoin pump is part of it. They want to destroy the American dollar and destroy the American economy. They want to decentralize currency. They want to be able to launder money. But really, you know, if you really want to know where somebody comes from, you got to look at what they read and what they talk about, right? And one of the things that Peter Thiel is really, really big on is this thing called the Dark Enlightenment, right? And the Dark Enlightenment it's terrifying, and it's by this philosopher guy named Nick Land. And there's so much in here that's bad. There's so much, but let me just give you uh, uh how about just a couple phrases? Design rules for a hypothetical optimal mimetic parasite that would be as virulent as possible. They're trying to use not just memes, but mimetic ideas and make them spread as much as possible to infect people.
Yes.
Um,
Let me give you one brief thing that they believe, which is, I think, easy to understand. They want a fucking monarchy. Not theoretically. I don't want to be in the big book. Thank you. A monarchy. They think that having a king is the best possible scenario, and that all of us should just shut the fuck up and be happy with being serfs.
Right.
Look, when you dig back, go all the way back into it, that's what it is. It is an aristocracy / monarchy. Women are completely submissive. It's terrible, fucking terrible. And Hi-Fi's right. It's hard to know how much Peter Thiel influenced Yarvin versus the other way around, but they've been cooking up this bullshit for a long time. Also,
they have
Peter Thiel invented Satoshi.
Yeah, Satoshi was a fucking op. Hold on. This is another quote from the Dark Enlightenment that I think people need to hear. It is essential to squash the democratic myth that a state belongs to a citizenry. The power of the business class is already clearly formalized in monetary terms, so the identification of capital with political power is perfectly redundant. It is necessary to ask, rather, who do capitalists pay for political favors? That's the kind of bullshit you're looking forward to if Peter Thiel's people get in power.
I read Ayn Rand too, and then my frontal lobe developed, it's from the same guy who says, that democracy and freedom is no longer compatible or whatever.
You know what else he said? You know why? You know why he believes that freedom and democracy are no longer compatible? Women's suffrage.
Yeah, right.
He wrote that down. That actually it's because of the problems with women's suffrage that he no longer thinks democracy and freedom are compatible.
What a little baby incel. I will say that I really believe that, as I've been saying, that they will throw everything at us when ultimately these guys, and we know this, I've reported on this in my cult of the genius tech bro. I reported on how these guys all know that global warming is real. They want to bring back some sort of feudalism. And Jim has, been talking about this for years, where we get to be the peasants and they get to be, the feudal lords, and they can go hang out in their bunkers in New Zealand and Hawaii while we have to fend for ourselves. And that's their vision. And it's dark. And a lot of this stuff that we talk about is their justification for this really dark vision. And, I am very glad that Timothy Snyder has joined us in pointing out that these, South Africans are having undue and a huge influence on our country, the United States of America, where they gained all their wealth. And now they're aligned with the autocrats globally, trying to basically destroy our democracy. And as Craig Unger said, Project 2025 is a recipe for the end of democracy. And whatever freak show everybody was watching on TV this week, whatever was being sold, what the reality is the end of, democratic governance. And we just, in episode 103 of RadPod, talked to a young reporter, Omar Paez, who had to fly all the way to Mexico to cast his ballot because he was denied, like tens of thousands of other people, from casting a vote outside of the country. And there were 37 assassinations this election cycle. There were polling stations that ran out of ballots, so people waited for hours to cast their ballot and then weren't allowed to and turned away. All kinds of voter suppression. And basically he said that what just happened in Mexico might have been their very last election as they know it. So I say this to tell people it ain't about Biden's age and what some billionaires have to say. It's about what we do and what we're willing to do in 100 days. And I'll repeat that because Jim coughed over me. What we're willing to do in the next 100 days to ensure democratic governance continues, and that we can deal with some of these fuckers like Alito and Clarence Thomas. So I don't know, Jim, your rantiness is rubbing off on me, but I feel ranty today. Yeah, so much at stake, man.
I'm going to play the first Omar clip. Hold on.
Yeah. Supplement was the electoral season was the deadliest in modern history, with a total number of 37 assassinated candidates in the lead up to the elections on June 2nd. More than 400 candidates asked for protection and security for their campaigns. The opposition criticized AMLO's HUD's Not Bullets approach to tackling organized crime, pointing to the rise in violence across the country as evidence of its ineffectiveness. And a prominent newspaper in Spain, El Mundo, reported that AMLO's failure to curb violence tainted Mexico's elections. I read that and immediately wanted you on our show because that is shocking to me. When you talk about 37 assassinated candidates, and as you know, we just had an incident in Pennsylvania yesterday at a Trump rally. And when you see an escalation like that, what does it tell you about what happened in June in Mexico?
So the issue that many people have attributed this horrifying situation to is that many of those candidates weren't necessarily to the organized crime likings, which is why they wanted to get rid of them or get them out of the way. Obviously, there are no concrete reports or solid evidence that actually shows that connection.
Well,
wow.
Hey, guess what? We have a Chiron now.
We're such dorks.
We got new software. I got to show off.
We got a Chiron.
That's like lame.
No,
Yes.
I know that's the only font I have so far that I can figure out. I'll try to figure something
Okay,
out.
let's see Omar's next clip so we can sort of regain our, composure here from Chiron's. See one more Omar
Okay,
clip.
one more Omar clip.
Overwhelming concern that these may be the last free elections that we had, because in 2022 there was a lot of push from the current government, from AMLO, to try and dismantle what we have as a National Electoral Institute. And a lot of people obviously took the streets and defended the INE, which is what we call the Electoral Institute, saying that the INE should not be touched, that it should remain autonomous and unbiased. And instead, what happened was obviously that the INE was still preserved, but it got defunded. And then a lot of the senior leadership that were there previously left. And that opened the doors for new leadership that allegedly has ties to AMLO and to his party of Morena. So now, with Sheinbaum winning the presidency, they have activated this Plan C, which is quite similar to Project 2025 and what obviously that has been unfolding in the US, and the likelihood of that happening if Trump were to win. But Plan C just entails that, I mean, there's going to be a dissolution of the judicial powers across Mexico, and also of autonomous organs such as the INE. So that is why the concern that this was the last free and fair election that we had. Was it as free as it was, right? Because obviously there were a bunch of obstacles.
Yeah, there were a whole bunch of obstacles. Hey, check it out. We can put our chat in. Sorry.
I'm so glad that you're demoing our new software live. Anyway, the point is that you saw what led up to it, how the previous leader had, began the dismantling of the integrity of the election, departments, and what have we been seeing here in America. And, I just think, as Hi-Fi said, is this, a foreshadowing of what could be to come in America? And I think the answer is obvious, Jim.
Oh, that's already happening in America, right? I mean, we had 2016 and 2020 were both attacks on our election system, right? And what have we heard already for months, more than that, is that this election has already been stolen, right? And so, sort of going back to our fecklessness, what really scares me about this election is not just winning, which, is a thing, but I think we can do that. I mean, in terms of popular vote.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Democrats have won the popular vote in 7 of the last 8 presidential elections. Let me repeat that. It's 7 of the last 8 elections. These motherfuckers aren't popular at all. And the only I think it was Reagan's that was the 1984. They're not popular. Our problem is that we let them fucking cheat. We let them get away with it.
Oh,
it's a group of people over here wants to cheat, but then a group of people over here are like, okay, we're gonna play by the rules while you fucking cheat.
Yeah.
And they do it. We've done it every single time. And forgive me if you've heard this before, but I've got to say it one more time. It's important. The last 5 Republican presidents were elected by cheating. The last 5 of them. Nixon, I could go.
Yeah.
So all the problem I have right now is not so much winning. It's if we do win, how are we going to prevent them from stealing it? How are they going to steal it? Well,
That's what I've been telling everybody. Yeah.
here's the thing. It's not, they tell us. They have told us.
Yeah.
And it's easy. And if they have the Supreme Court in the building, the Supreme Court will throw the election to Donald Trump. That's it. With 100% certainty. And here's how I know. Because they've already got the lawfare already lined up out here, ready to want to decertify the vote. Now, here's another reason I'm so mad at these feckless fucking Democrats. If they switch the candidate out right now, how much more legal target surface area have you given them? Infinitely more target area to attack the Democrats with lawfare, giving the Supreme Court, who doesn't need any to be fair, any target surface, because they just make shit up. But it's going to be a cakewalk for them to just steal this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when they decertify enough states to lower the vote, the count under 270, then when it gets to January 6th in the House, we don't have it. We don't have the electors. And we're sitting around again punching ourselves in the dick over and over again while these guys are telling us these plans, and we've got nothing but whatever this bullshit is. So sorry.
To be fair, I don't have a dick, but I understand what you're saying. I understand that. No, so one really important point that I want to make that we learned from Omar is that part of what happened in June in the election in Mexico was that there was no international uproar over all of the voter suppression and the assassinations. In fact, right after the election, the media just declared victory. What happened in 2016 after we were hit by the Russian military and traitors within? The media just declared victory. You know, I got a call from my then manager, because I was doing a lot of development deals at the time, who said, you know, we're not really interested in the diversity shows that you were working on. What we're really interested in now is self-made millionaire men. And I was like, oh, we are so fucked. Do you remember the very first report after the theft in 2016? Hollywood Reporter had Omaroso coming down the gilded elevator with Trump. The normalization began immediately.
And the Democrats helped, right? And I have made no secret of my admiration for Hillary, and I think it's easy to look back in retrospect.
Yeah.
But anybody paying attention and at that moment knew that was fucking fucked up. What happened?
That was
that was not. It was hard.
Fugazi shit.
At the time, it was confusing on purpose. But at this point, it's not confusing. We know the names of the people and the buildings that they were in, and we know the entire system. We know the psychological warfare tactics. We know the organizations. We know. I mean, we know everything about how that fucking happened, and we just sort of, oh, okay, oh well, I guess the FBI director and a bunch of Russians are gonna just steal the election. Okay, peaceful transition of power. Bye. Right? Because and what happened when we won one? There's no peaceful transition of power. But when they asked Mike Flynn about a peaceful transition of power, what the fuck would that motherfucker say? Oh,
take the fifth.
Yes,
the fifth.
Yes, fifth. Oh yeah, that actually is legendary clip. Yeah. Just a quick palate cleanser. I forgot my manners. I just wanted Gen G to know it's Death Valley chapped lips that my daughter got me today, and I love it.
Death Valley, what?
It's called chapped lips. Is the color Death Valley nails, chapped lips. My daughter has been sending me these awesome freaking colors, and I love them.
The name of the color is Chapped Lips.
The name of the color is chapped lips, and it actually looks like chapped lips. It's really like a hot neon pink. I don't know if you can see it.
Have your lips ever looked like that naturally?
Well, not since I was a kid, you know. This was last week's. Do aliens believe in me? I love that, but do aliens believe in me? Anyway,
I've said this before. Forgive me. I have a fascination with the people who get to do that all day.
Yeah, I know.
Names.
It's
That's
great,
the
right?
coolest job ever. What's this dirty baby shit brown color? Aliens ate my grandmother.
It's actually heartless wench. Isn't that great? Heartless wench. And then my other favorite is golden smog. Yeah, my daughter. She's awesome.
Okay, I don't know how the hell we got that far out, but here's another clip.
Great.
That what happened in Mexico when it comes to voting and the irregularities and all of the strangeness and the death, should that serve as an incredibly strong warning for the United States from Mexico?
I think it should. And I think that the problem is that, again, obviously every country has its own, its own threats, its own issues, and its own cultural implications that may dictate the way that politics operates, right? But I think that the common trend that we are seeing is erosion of democracy.
That is a common trend we are seeing, the erosion of democracy. You see, in the United States, they're using racism and religion, right?
Oh, America,
they also
get
captured
your shit
our
together.
Supreme Court. They've captured our House, so we can't really get anything done right now. They've installed a vice presidential candidate that's obviously Peter Thiel's fucking henchman, right? We've shown you the crazy shit where Peter Thiel comes from. I don't understand why it's so difficult. Oh, they're just trying to make money off of Bitcoin. No, they're trying to plunge the world into fascism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
and if America sides with the fascists this time, you're not going to have a good time.
No, you're not going to have a good time. Wake up, MAGA QAnon folks. Come back into, the real world. We have a twofold fight. That's part of the same fight, which I talked about earlier. It's the world becoming more authoritarian and global warming, and the two are linked together. And if we want to survive this, we have to be willing to, first of all, nobody did a better job describing how distant folklore set in Ukraine a decade ago, and how the Russians hacked the minds of people during the first invasion and basically tricked people into believing that their democracy wasn't good and that they didn't have it good and that the Russians could come in and make things so great, when in fact they took everything away. And we now know the reality of that because we see it every day. And that's what's happening now. People are being tricked into thinking that everything is so terrible and only a strong man can save you. And that's not how it works. And the other thing that I talk about a lot is the people who are backing him, they think they can control the fascist leader. And that's not how it works. When they get into power, they can take any of your shit. So the people who are backing him, the billionaires who think they're going to get a free ride, they don't understand how it works either. Fascism is not good for anyone. It's not good for anyone.
Well, unfortunately, it's good for corporations and rich people for a bit.
Initially.
Because I mean, one thing that's important to remember is American industry has a long, unfortunate history of working with fascists and literally the Nazis.
Yeah.
That there's nothing hidden about that. I mean, and we've talked about it before, but all you got to do is look at Henry Ford, who was the Elon Musk of the time, and he was a fucking Nazi who literally wanted the genocide of Jews and did his best to enact it, and was so good at it that Hitler congratulated him in Mein Kampf, congratulated Henry Ford for his ideas about the Jews. Think about that. American billionaire fucking inspired Hitler. And so
I need to bring this up too.
Go
ahead. Well, look, this is important just as much as Henry Ford, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Because that is absolutely true. There are many other examples of this in American industry, and we have to understand that these companies, and this is important, including large media companies, are not there for you or for me.
No, they're not.
They are there to make money. Legally, enforced that they have to do the best thing for the company, not for any of us. Yeah. So, the fact that these media companies are literally creating a story, right? They created this whole step aside freak out. If it hadn't been for the fucking, the absolute lunacy of the press, would have been a couple of, news cycles and been over. But this is very profitable for them because it pisses off all the libs, and it gets a lot, sort of keeps moving the Overton window all the way down to these goddamn nuts.
So when I say fascism's not good for anyone, I am quoting Jason Stanley from How Fascism Works, and I want to remind people.
Ultimately, yes.
I want to remind people that Jason Stanley is the one who taught us that fascism in America will look much like Orban's Hungary. And what happened to media companies in Orban's Hungary? They were forced to donate their organizations to a government-run foundation. And guess what is lacking in Hungary now? There is no freedom of the press. So again, you think it's going to be good for you, and maybe it will for a minute, but good luck being able to report on reality when you're actually part of state-run media.
It's all they're it's a hedge. It's a lot of this is also a hedge. In my view, there's two reasons for it. Number one, they make a lot of money when there's her emails. When it's obvious that there's this one fucking lunatic that like Donald Trump, really. Yeah. They manufactured her emails.
Yeah.
That was fucking manufactured. It was completely made up.
Yeah.
So, there's that, but there's also they're literally thinking about themselves and this particular potential administration, right, which will have the power to do anything the fuck it wants, has already announced retribution.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Yeah.
You got Steve Bannon and Kash Patel telling people out loud, MSNBC, you're going to prison. So if anybody thinks that that doesn't affect human beings, you're fucking crazy. Especially billionaires who all that matters to them is how big their pile of money is. And if they're thinking to themselves, well, shit, if I piss off Fat Hitler too much, I'll probably shut me down quick, but before I give my money out. I mean, that's how they're thinking, right? And so the speaking of accountability, there's literally zero for any of us, the little people.
Well, I have a contingency.
Yeah.
I have a contingency plan.
Good.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, as Timothy Snyder says, make sure your passport is current. So gentlemen, we have one more clip from Omar, and then Hi-Fi probably has some gangster surprise at the end. And I'm sure there's a couple more questions that I have from you guys, but want to run the last Omar clip. Do we have that? It's a short one.
Are on the ballot, whether they are displaying authoritarian tendencies, because if they are, then that's going to be where the danger is. That's going to be bad news, because that is what's ultimately going to give the party, whether left or right, all the power, and that's what's going to obviously take a toll on democracy.
His point being, if it looks authoritarian, it doesn't matter if they say left or right. It's not democracy. And so I think that by now we should be much better at spotting all the agents of influence out there, useful idiots out there. And when we have an organic crisis, as I wrote with Keir Giles, and I got another story coming up, Russia uses a very long screwdriver to crank up the volume. And I think we should make it a little bit more difficult for foreign interference in our elections and stop fighting among each other. Let's support our candidate. And if our candidate decides there's a better plan, we'll support that plan. But yeah, I don't like what I'm seeing. And it's just the worst possible year for the Democrats to fall apart.
I mean, we seem constitutionally incapable of doing anything but self-harming. It's beyond me. It's a lack of leadership, honestly. And look, there is one thing that I will say is that I think we've all, me included, have had enough of old white men. No matter where they come from. I'm not saying that I'm behind Joe, but generally speaking, the people coming after Joe,
the fear,
are old white men. It's the same terror and grievance and anxiety that all these asshats on the right wing, are generating in their cult. Go ahead, Hi-Fi.
I'd like to point out.
What happened to you? You sound like you're now in a bath.
I don't know. It's not just old white men; it's old rich white men. Right? This is a class war. I'm sorry. They use the culture war.
Why is Hi-Fi underwater?
I don't know, dude, bro.
Hi-Fi is underwater.
Here, let me. I'll give you a point for you. I'll do your point for you. It's not old white men, because some of us are okay. It's these motherfucking dudes who listen. The only way you can get billions of dollars in your bank account is if all you do is collect money and you don't care about other human beings in the process. That is the only fucking way that you get that much money. And so it puts everybody in the weird position of having these complete assholes with all this power. and at some point it gets to be like pitchforks time. It's like, I fucking eat the rich, bro, because I'm very, very tired.
It's a lot of fear. It's a lot of fear. And what I know, because I feel like I've been on this planet now 60 years and I feel like I know my country reasonably well. And I believe that Joe Biden, allowed to continue and continue campaigning, will beat Donald Trump in bigger numbers than before, because fewer people like Trump now than they did in 2020. More people, there are fewer people, I believe, and I believe that he will win. It's what Jim says. It's what happens the next day when Donald Trump declares himself the winner that we need a plan for. I do believe, though, if people get out of Joe Biden's way, he's been underestimated a lot. And if they get out of his way, he will win this election. How we handle the next day is something I'd like to see a plan for.
Why are we talking about Joe Biden, by the way? Donald Trump is a rapist who attempted a coup.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just remind everyone. Repeat that.
There's also an accused child rapist and a felon. We could keep going.
Which I wrote about back in 2016, and the media ignored it. And the woman who had the guts to bring the lawsuit had so many death threats that she, panicked. And
it's incredible how we have memory hold this shit. It's absolutely incredible how we have, and how the press, goes along with it. It's but his debate instead of but his child rape. Like, what the fuck?
If you look at Berlusconi's Italy and how much of the media he owned, that sort of gives us a template for what we faced here. And remember, we had a candidate under contract to NBC. That should have been our first tip off that something ain't right?
Yeah, dude was completely manufactured. All right, it's 5 o'clock, so we need to bounce.
Thank you, everybody, for coming, and hopefully we'll have some of the technical difficulties worked out by next week, but don't count on it.
By that, as a boomer, and we'll always be a boomer.
Hopefully we'll be back in our normal Thursday night time slot.
I need to remind everyone that fascism is bad for your skin. I'm serious. Fascism is bad for your skin. I'm not playing. Not good for you.
Oh,
I actually ripped a little something off from the Midas Network, so that's how we're going to end tonight.
All right.
Cool.
I'm 77. I've been following politics for 65 years. I've studied it since the founding, and I have never seen such a spineless political party as the Democrats committing self-destruction right out in the open at the first sign of adversity, trashing their sitting president, the nominee not of Adam Schiff and Jamie Raskin or any member of Congress or James Carville of the New York Times editorial board, but the voters. And they've spent weeks trashing him. And lo and behold, his poll ratings have slipped. Talk about a self-defeating prophecy. We're going to push down his poll numbers, and then we're going to say, see, he can't win because his poll numbers are down, so we're going to push him out. It's an astoundingly spineless exhibition by the Democrats. I've summarized American politics in one sentence. Republicans have no principles. Democrats have no spine.